Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn With Me. I'm Deborah Hanson, and today we're going to be looking at AP Psychology 5.4, Selection of Categories of Psychological Disorders. This particular section of Unit 5 has 10 CED questions. Yes, 10. So this video is on the third CED question. I'm going to have one for each of the CED questions as well as the key terms video. So let's get started. So as I always say, the key to the 5 are the key terms. So it's really important to learn the key terms. Here's a list of them on these slides, but there is a separate video where I will go through every definition and example so to help you learn them so that you can apply them on test day. So before we get into the CED question, I want to say thank you to everybody who's already hit that like and subscribe button for me. I'm loving all the comments, and it's been really great to interact with people and hear about your AP Psych journey. So it's been really fun for me. So please keep them coming. And please, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button for me. Thank you. So the third CED question for 5.4 is describe the symptoms and possible causes of selective depressive disorders. So we're going to go through all of that today. We're going to break it all down for you, definitions, examples, so that you can really understand it and you'll be able to apply it onto your FRQs and your MCQs. So always good to start with a little overview. So let's look at the overview of depressive disorders. So for example, the definition is depressive disorders are characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, emptiness, or irritability, along with cognitive and physical changes that impair daily functions. We're going to look at two specific disorders for AP Psychology. The first one is Major Depressive Disorder, or MDD, and Persistent Depressive Disorder, PDD. Let's go into detail about both of those. We're going to start off with Major Depressive Disorders, MDD. These are mental health conditions that affect mood, thinking, and physical well-being. So let's break down the symptoms and what they look like in everyday life. Major Depressive Disorder, or MDD, is a mood disorder characterized by at least 2 weeks of intense sadness, low energy, and a loss of interest in daily activities. Unlike temporary sadness, MDD can severely impact daily life and overall well-being. So let's look at the key definition. It's a persistent, long-term form of depression that interferes with daily functioning. That's the depression of MDD. And the duration, the symptoms must last at least 2 weeks or longer to be classified as MDD. So now let's explore the symptoms of MDD in 3 major categories: emotional, cognitive, and physical. MDD symptoms affect more than just your mood. They impact your emotions, your thinking, and even your physical health. So let's take a closer look. Let's start with emotional symptoms. This is persistent sadness, feelings of worthlessness, or excessive guilt. For example, a person may feel hopeless and disconnected from loved ones without really having a clear reason. The cognitive symptoms, this is difficulty concentrating, making decisions, or experiencing recurring thoughts of death or suicide. For example, people with MDD may struggle with simple tasks like deciding what to eat or completing a work assignment. The last one is physical symptoms, changes in energy levels, appetite, or sleep patterns. For example, someone with MDD might feel constantly fatigued, experience weight changes, or suffer from insomnia. These symptoms work together, making daily life really feel overwhelming and exhausting. To better understand MDD, let's look at an example. Imagine someone who used to enjoy socializing, exercising, and working productively. Over time, they start to withdraw from social interactions, they lose motivation, and they struggle with just basic daily tasks. So they avoid social events, they feel disconnected from their friends, they lose interest in hobbies that they once loved, like reading or playing music. They struggle just to complete work and find it really difficult to concentrate. These changes can create a cycle of isolation and distress, making it even harder to break free of depression. Major depressive disorder is a serious condition that affects mood, cognition, and physical health. So recognizing the symptoms is an important step towards seeking help and support. Now let's talk about persistent depressive disorder, PDD. It's a chronic but milder form of depression that lasts for at least 2 years. So let's break that down. Persistent depressive disorder, or PDD, is sometimes called dysthymia. Unlike major depressive disorders, PDD symptoms are usually less severe but longer lasting, making it feel like a person is living under a constant cloud of sadness. The key definition here is a chronic, long-term depressive disorder lasting 2 years or more. Milder but persistent symptoms, unlike MDD, PDD doesn't involve extreme depressive episodes, but instead just feels like that constant state of low mood. So now let's look at the different symptoms of PDD. PDD symptoms are similar to major depressive disorders, but they often appear in a more subtle and long-lasting way. These symptoms can be divided into three main categories: emotional symptoms, cognitive symptoms, and physical symptoms. Let's start with emotional symptoms. These are ongoing feelings of sadness, hopelessness, or low mood. For example, a person may feel like they're just going through the motions every day without any enthusiasm. Then we have cognitive symptoms: chronic low self-esteem, feelings of inadequacy, or difficulty focusing. Example, they may struggle with confidence or motivation, leading to poor concentration at work or school. And lastly, physical symptoms: persistently low energy, fatigue, and changes in eating or sleeping habits. For example, someone with PDD might lack energy, experience appetite fluctuations, or struggle with poor sleep. So unlike MDD, where symptoms can come in waves, PDD symptoms are present almost all the time for years. So to better understand PDD, imagine someone who continues their daily routines, going through work, interacting with others, but feels a constant underlying sadness that never seems to go away. They go to work and they complete tasks, but everything feels dull or unfulfilling. They socialize with friends, but internally they just feel emotionally disconnected. They struggle with motivation and often feel exhausted without really knowing why they're feeling exhausted. This makes PDD difficult to diagnose because people with it may appear fine on the outside, but they're struggling on the inside. So persistent depressive disorder is a chronic, low-level form of depression that affects mood, cognition, and physical health. And through symptoms, though the symptoms may be mild compared to MDD, the long-term effects can be just as impactful. So it's really important to seek support and treatment to help with overall well-being. So now let's explore the possible causes of depressive disorders. It's a condition that affects millions of people worldwide. Depression is complex, and it doesn't just have one cause. Instead, it results from a combination of biological, social, behavioral, and cognitive factors. Let's break all that down. One of the biggest contributors to depressive disorders is biology. Research has shown that certain brain functions and chemicals play a major role in mood regulation. For example, neurotransmitter imbalance, low levels of serotonin, dopamine, or norepinephrine. They can disrupt your mood and motivation. Brain abnormalities, reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex can help regulate emotions and decision making, and it's often seen in people with depression. Genetics. A family history of depression increases the likelihood of developing the disorder, suggesting a genetic link. For example, this is why antidepressants work by boosting serotonin and other neurotransmitters to help regulate mood. Beyond biology, we have social and cultural factors that can also contribute to depressive disorders. Our environment and relationships play a huge role in our mental well-being. For example, lack of social support, isolation, or strained relationships can make it harder for individuals to cope with challenges. Chronic stress, financial struggles, work pressure, or family conflicts, this can increase the risk of depression over time. Stigma around mental health. In some cultures, discussing mental health is considered taboo, so it leads people to suffer in silence instead of seeking help. So people who don't have a strong support system may feel more alone and less likely to seek professional help. Now let's talk about behavioral factors, how our actions and learned experiences contribute to depression. For example, learned helplessness. When people feel they have no control over negative situations, they may stop trying to improve them. Reduced engagement in rewarding activities. For example, avoiding hobbies, social events, or physical activity can reinforce feelings of hopelessness. For example, if someone has experienced constant failure, they may believe nothing they're going to do is going to make a difference, which leads to inaction and then the worsening of depression. Finally, we have cognitive factors. The way we think plays a crucial role in depression. Negative thought patterns can shape emotions and behavior. Rumination, that's repeatedly dwelling on negative thoughts or past failures. Cognitive distortions, irrational, exaggerated beliefs such as I'm a failure, nothing I ever do will ever work, nothing I ever do will make it better. These, for example, people with depression often engage in negative self-talk, reinforcing feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness. And then finally, cognitive factors. Oops. On this side, you'll see a little chart where I compared the two, the MDD and the PDD, with the severity, the duration, and the impact on functioning. Of course, this really just condensed. You have more information that we just heard. Hopefully, those are in your notes by now. The key points to remember for this CED question of 5.4 is understand the symptoms and distinctions between MDD and PDD. Be able to link potential causes, biological, cognitive, and social, to the symptoms, and be able to provide examples to illustrate cause and effect. That should help you on your unit test and the final exam. And that's all the essential knowledge you need to know for CED question number 3. Describe the symptoms and possible causes of selective depressive disorders. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. If you have any questions, leave them below. You'll also find a link to the full slideshow and workbook in the description below if you'd like to see all of the information that you just heard on this video. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. See you next time.